Lots of discussion in those investor meetings this week with the heads of the Walt Disney Company. And Tyler, the company says $60 billion over the next 10 years for the Disney Parks division is what they're setting aside. I guess, what are you hoping we see and what are you hoping we don't see that comes out of this $60 billion set aside?
Yeah, I don't know. That number to me is wild, like when you really boil it down, because I did just a little bit of Googling, just easy to figure this out.
Google.
And it cost them $5.5 billion to build all of Shanghai Disneyland.
Oh, wow.
When it first opened. So if you consider $5.5 billion for an entire theme park, and they're going to spend $60 billion over 10 years on these theme parks, like, what are we talking about? We've got to be talking about brand new theme parks in my mind.
Inflation.
Don't get me wrong, there probably is like a little bit of inflation, boiled in there, but it's just, that's a huge number, and it's shocking to see $60 billion when you think about Shanghai Disneyland costing, just a small percentage of that. So, I'm just hoping we see some new stuff. I think what I hope to not see is when they say they're spending this money on the parks, I hope they're not just like, going to build like, Frozen Ever After over here, for the third time, or just, I just don't want everything to be like a copycat of everything else. I think for me personally, I like it when the parks and, the different, like, not just the parks, but also just the different, like, international geography and stuff like that. Like, I like it when they're all different. I like it when they have their own thing, because that gives you a reason to go out there and explore and do something new,
Each with a distinct personality, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's a character attached to each park, essentially. There's an image that you have in mind that makes that park experience distinct.
Right, yeah. And like I've said, like last week we were talking about Pandora, and I was like, I hope they don't bring Pandora out, or maybe we were just talking about Disneyland Forward, actually, and I brought up Pandora, but I just hope they don't bring Pandora out here, because I just don't, like, Animal Kingdom already, it feels like it's a very unique park, and I want it to stay that way. I don't want everything from Animal Kingdom to start spreading out to the West Coast, because then I have less of a reason to go to the East Coast, it like the cannibalizing makes it less exciting for me as a consumer and as a guest. So that's what I hope we don't see. I hope we don't see a bunch of copycat rides. I hope that we just see a bunch of brand new things that are exciting. I mean, I could see if they bring over something that is international. I would love to see like Mystic Manor out here, or even that new Zootopia ride looks amazing somewhere. That would be cool to see, but I also just want a lot of newness, so we'll see what they do. $60 billion is crazy.
It's a lot of money, Katrina.
Newness.
Sounds
funny.
Bring that newness.
Bring the newness.
Bring the newness on.
Bring the newness.
That's going to be when I'm CEO, that's going to be bring the newness.
Bring the newness.
He's not Chapek, followed by bring the newness.
Newness we can believe in. There we go. It's on its way.
Yeah.
I will say, I remember many years ago when Disney's Hollywood Studios was talking about what the reimagining of that park was going to be, and how the rumors kept resurfacing in attachment to Cars Land coming to Hollywood Studios. Don't know if you remember that, but it was consistently the thing that everybody was hearing. Cars Land, Hollywood Studios, Cars Land, Hollywood Studios. That would replace the backlot, and of course we all know Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, Toy Story Land have taken root there, but for the longest time it was discussed Cars Land, and I thought, this is the one thing that has finally made California Adventure special. Mm-hmm. After a decade of suffering, after a decade of cheap, cutting corners, terrible pun locations, it was so bad for 10 years. Finally, it has a heart called Cars Land, and now you just want to replicate that? No, keep it special, keep it unique for that coast. Like, why would you rip that out of California Adventure and transplant it on over? Why would you do that? It just didn't seem right. And so, thankfully, while, yes, now both coasts have a Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, making, I think, that experience diminished to a certain degree, Still, I think, not having transplanted Cars Land was the right thing to do. Was leaving that special for California Adventure because that's such a draw.
I mean, it's just so pretty. Like, why would you want to ruin it? Like, I hate when they do the cookie cutter thing where like, oh, well, we can build it here and also we can build it here. And I was like, well, what's the point of traveling then if I can make everything at Disneyland and then not go to Florida now? And then, like, don't you want people to travel to each park and go visit and see it? Like they're trying to, like, pimp out at D23 the Avengers campus, being like, oh, they're all going to be different. Yeah. And you can continue the story and, like, here and over in Paris and over there. And I was just like, oh, wow, that's really cool. You can continue the story. And then it kind of went to poo and never really happened because there is no ride here at the moment besides Spider-Man.
Maybe one day.
One day, but then
we saw those ride vehicles, didn't we?
I know, right? It'll happen in the next like 20 years or so.
We only need concept art. We don't actually need any physical attraction. The art and the blue sky sort of projects is all we need to be happy.
Yeah. That's right. Are you still riding that high, Garrett, from the D23 announcement of the ride vehicle?
I was never actually riding that high. I was like, oh, cool, a ride vehicle concept, not even an actual picture of the actual ride and what's going on. Like when they released the initial concept art of like fighting King Thanos, I was like, that's kind of cool because that's something else. But the ride vehicle, until I actually see, more of like what this is going to entail, I'm not going to get my hopes up because, they did the same thing with Mary Poppins. I was never excited for that in the first place, but
rude.
At least that one showed what it was going to possibly do. So sometimes just maybe hold the art until you have something more concrete that will actually, do something for me.
Speaking of holding the art until something becomes more concrete, we recently heard from Disney Parks Chairman Josh D'Amaro this past week at that investors conference where they were discussing the $60 billion set aside for Disney Parks for the next 10 years. He claimed they will be accelerating Disney Parks' growth. Now he's actively teasing different IP for potential lands during these investor conferences, including things like Frozen, Wakanda, and Coco-themed lands possibly coming to Disneyland. Garrett, what's your confidence level that any of these teases are going to become a reality?
Well, I'm pretty confident that we'll see more Frozen because that seems to be the franchise and IP that never seems to die. I don't hate Frozen. I think Frozen is a great franchise. It's got great characters that relate to, the people that watch them. I think Olaf is one of the best characters ever to help. Like the Olaf shorts on Disney Plus, probably one of my favorite mini-series of all time. But I would love something that's not set in Arendelle because, they destroyed Maelstrom and put in Frozen Ever After there. Then Hong Kong Disney, they just opened up their Arendelle, which looks amazing. But then they're going to do a similar thing in Paris. I would hate to see that, actually come to fruition in Florida or, California for that matter. I'd rather see, if it's Frozen, do something like Frozen 2 where like you're in the woods and it has like the mystery and you have the giant, earth.
Into the unknown?
Into the unknown, absolutely. I'm all about, I want to hear that every 5 seconds. But when it comes to things like Coco, I could actually see that happening. Coco and Encanto, those are 2 films that are very popular worldwide, especially if Coco were to appear anywhere. I would hope it would appear in California over Florida because like you have like California borders Mexico and there's a very strong Mexican, heritage to California. And so Coco there would be so great. The music, the culture, it fits in well. There's already, great food and environment in California Adventure. So Coco is
folklorico dancers all year round. Hell yeah!
Bring it on.
For it. I don't want Coco to go to Mexico in the Mexico Pavilion. I don't want it there. I like Three Caballeros. It's simple and easy.
It deserves its own land, not an overlay.
It does. And I don't know if one of the attractions is riding around. In the land of the dead and seeing all the different sights and sounds, or maybe Ernesto de la Cruz is performing.
You jump a ride on what is it called? An alebreja? What is it?
Is that the word?
What is
that is the word.
Is that what it's, you're like the mystical creatures.
Yeah, your spirit
animal.
I'm all about Dante, but Wakanda,
he is a spirit animal.
For Wakanda, I'm a little mixed on that one because I'm wondering where you'd put it. I would put it in DCA over Florida, just because you can't really do much with Marvel in Florida. But I want to see more IP than just, these three listed. What about Wally? What about more of the world of Pirates of the Caribbean? Because, now that Johnny Depp is sort of back in the acting game.
More rum.
Are we going to see more of that? I just don't want Disney to use the $60 billion and just use it on stuff we've seen before. One piece of IP, I guess, is the SEA, the Society of Explorers and Adventurers, which is part of the Adventureland treehouse coming to Disneyland. I would love to see that pop up because the characters in that are all over the world. Hightower from Tokyo Disney Sea, he's there, and then you've also got Albert the monkey and his owner, who's in Mystic Manor. They're part of this society too, and I would just love to see that explored. But $60 billion, it's a lot. I just hope it's quality and quantity. If I can't have both, I'll take quality over quantity any day. But I just don't want to see Frozen, the same Arendelle over and over and over again. Bring us something new. Give us a Wally ride. I would love to go on an adventure.
Something new. Newness.
Something new. Newness is goodness.
Newness you can believe in.
You can get that T-shirt. Yeah.
That's right.
Tyler Crouch, CEO 2028.
Look out.
Newness is goodness.
Newness is goodness. Newness is magical, we should say. And, we definitely referenced this in the past, but the images of Disneyland Forward are important, I think, when somebody like Josh Tomorrow is talking about new themed lands coming to the Disneyland Resort. And the Forward Disneyland concept on the Disneyland side next to the parking garages, you see here, it's like, could that be Wakanda? I don't know.
Dora Milaje, I think I see one over there.
Yeah, entirely possible. Makes you wonder. Again,
in the Killmonger meet and greet.
Oh, that would be awesome. Yes, please.
He's my favorite character. I don't care that he is technically a villain. I think he's just misunderstood.
Like every villain.
Michael B. Jordan meet and greet.
Because he's a murderer.
Whoa.
5. It's all a matter of perspective.
Yoicks.
It's all a matter of perspective. We look at the California Adventure side of the images, and that's really where we see a lot of like mountainous regions in the concept art. That's really where we see a lot of additional water. This was the land that really reminded me, at least just in concept, because obviously this could be anything, but in concept, this reminded me a lot more of something we would see at like Tokyo Disney Sea, for example. That has that inspiration to
Could this be Moana?
Could
with the volcanoes and stuff?
I could do some Moana.
I could see
I
that
would,
too.
yeah.
I would love some Moana.
Oh, can we get some spam and rice?
Done.
Done and
Honestly,
done.
like,
But it
just
has to
for
be
you.
like catered around coconuts, because that was the whole point of Moana. All the coconuts died.
We'll get
They
you some
use
coconuts
a lot of coconuts.
All right.
as well. Yeah, I think that
Coladas everywhere.
Oh my god.
I
That'd be
think
great.
that there's a lot of suggestion here by Josh Tomorrow. Of course, referencing those 3 IPs I thought was very interesting. Why would you reference those 3 IPs out of everything?
yeah.
But at the same time, much like with all the Disneyland Forward concepts, we are many years from any of this even starting. And on top of it, as referenced before, the company doesn't have a whole lot of money right now. And so with that, are these investor conferences really, are these blue sky concepts, these D23 announcements, are all of these things just about trying to create a stir
Yeah.
more than anything else? Because it sure feels that way.
It is. Definitely. They're like, hey, this is what we could do. And everybody's like, wow. And then like 10 years later, they're like, so is it going to happen yet? And they're like, yeah, for sure. It's on the board, right?
We set the money aside, guys. Of course it's going to
gonna happen.
It'll happen.
Everything's going to be like obsolete at that point. Like obviously like the ride, Thanos is like done. He's over now. Who's the new villain?
Next, yeah, we're on to the next
It's
big
too
villain.
old now. And all the other people, like you can't get Captain America back. Chris Evans is like, psh, listen, I'm out. Iron Man, done. He's dead.
What?
Terrible.
I know. But you know what I mean? Like no one really
Spoilers.
wants, like it's going to be like the new Marvel characters that are going to happen. And I say,
Right.
give me good product
Hey.
versus crap shows.
Hey,
and then maybe I'll be okay
I'm
with
all
it.
for the TVA. I'd be kind of cool with the TVA. I know Loki's not like a long running series.
I would-
only about to have season
I would do
2,
that.
But TVA looks pretty cool just from the aesthetic. And Shang-Chi, like, you know, Like, I love that movie. I thought it was one of the few Marvel films when watching it, it felt more like a, high octane kung fu movie versus like a superhero movie. It like the music and score and just, I don't know. Simu Liu is awesome. He's awesome in this. He's awesome in Barbie. He's awesome on the Getty Images. Simu Liu, please put your influence into the park.
And maybe we will get some. We'll see. But we'd like to hear from all of you, the interest level in what Josh D'Amaro is pushing forward here with those lands. $60 billion set aside for Disney Parks expansion. Sounds like they're going all in on the Disney Parks experiences side of things, which is incredible. Really wonderful to hear that they believe that an expansion on the Disney Parks and experiences side could generate some of the greatest revenue long term. What would you like to see? Let us know in the comments.